So speaking of Syra, she's a few weeks into teaching an RA pipeline program for Stack, which is really fun. Okay, so so much fun. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this a little bit is because I've been really personally invested in the Stack pipeline program since I heard about it a year ago. And by that, I don't mean financially invested. I mean, I believe in the program, right? And so I've been working with them and talk. And actually, I'm seeing David today. Where I'm going to Watertown this week and have some coffee. But I was exposed to them when I was at the BI, and my continuous work with them has only continued to reinforce my belief that the Stack program is actually going to be one of the big tools to help solve the RA vacancy crisis that we're having. Because, one of my tools to feel better about anything is brainstorming about research administration. Yeah, like I'm so nerdy about research admin. I can't even. Like, you want to sit down and have a great time with me? Let's just sit down and rap about research administration. Like, oh my God, let's talk about cost transfers. Yes. How can we do them more efficiently? Oh my God, can we talk about that, please? These are the kinds of conversations that light me up. So, so typically when I'm like, hey, Syra, I'm really feeling annoyed or irritated today. She'll be like, do you want to get on and just talk about research administration? I'd be like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So that's what we do. And it's really fun. And so, one of the things that we have talked about is how can we help solve this problem that we're all struggling with, right? Of the challenge that we're having with like when you're hiring all these people at the same time. So for example, if you have 4 or 5 vacancies, which a lot of places do, right? A lot of organizations right now don't have just 1 or 2 vacancies. They have 4 or 5. And then no sooner do they fill up to like, oh God, I've only got 1 vacancy. Then a few people say they're leaving, either people who you hired like a year ago or people, excuse me, who are part of the, your longstanding veterans who are ready for something new, right? So somebody mentioned that to me. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, my God, like that's a lot of work. How do you onboard 4 people? Okay, so 4 people, you get them trained, you manage the handover of portfolios that have been hanging out with people for whom that was a +2 or 3 job, right? They're already doing 2 people's jobs, and this is like an additional thing on top of it. It's a really tall order to successfully onboard those people or to not feel overwhelmed at the prospect, right? Because like on one hand, you're excited to hire people because you're like, okay, we'll get the vacancies filled. But on the other hand, that now means a huge amount of labor in terms of training them, right? That's a tall order. So one of the things that Syra and I were talking about as part of sort of like, and we've been talking about with Stack too, which is just really great, is using that program as like an onboarding, program. So basically, here's my thought, right? Because Syra's teaching it right now, so we're seeing how it all plays out. Okay, so here's what you do, right? You have like a program where you say, okay, new RAs come in. We've got 5 new RAs in this place, 3 new RAs in this place, and 4 new RAs here, right? You get them together and put them through this program, which is now sort of like an onboarding program. So it's like done during the day while they are working for like 2 days a week or, whatever, for a couple of hours. But the goal is to basically cover the things that every RA needs to know when they're first onboarding, right? And I mean every RA, like in terms of the RAs who don't know anything, right? So we all, of course, would love to hire the veterans or people who have lots of experience, because that means that they already know the questions they need to ask, the stuff that they need to do. How do you take over a portfolio that's been left to languish for a while? Like all of those things, if you've been doing this for 10 years, you've got this, right? You'll just go in there and figure it out and here you go, right? But if you have somebody new, which is what's happening right now because we're having trouble finding, a lot of the people who've been doing this for a long time are retiring or simply choosing not to do it anymore. So a lot of people are being brought in who don't have RA experience, which I actually think is fabulous because they're bringing in all these new ideas, new thoughts. It's fabulous, right? But at the same time, you've still got to learn the basics of research administration, right? So we're toying with the idea of being like, so you put people through that. And then at the same time, you have almost like an office hours of Q&A that's basically an education leader on the team without the cost of a full-time training specialist to do the whole thing. So what's happening is that this is going to, I think this is like something that could catch on because it's a way to kind of lighten the load of training because off of the people who right now are already carrying 3 or 4 portfolios, right, on their own, like some of your superstars and things like that. So I thought this was like a really cool idea. So anyway, I mean, you know how much I love, you know how much I love talking about training research administration. So here's the thing. If you are interested in the pipeline program as it is right now, because like we're talking about turning into an onboarding program, but if you're the pipeline program, there's nothing really on the website because all of this is coming together like really quickly. So if you've got suggestions, you can shoot them off to me, to Syra, to David. We can, like I said, this is what we get excited about, like just talking about research administration, how we can help solve these problems. And there's so many exciting opportunities coming out of this conversation.